Hey guys, hope everybody's having a fantastic day, whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. Today I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about the top 5 Spydercos, both US made and made afar in my collection. Just my top 5 that I carry, that I like the most, that I spend the most time with. That's liable to change because I've got one coming in, but we'll see how that goes. But to start off with, I would be remiss to not mention the Spyderco Shaman. These are not in any specific order, but the Shaman is amongst one of my favorite Spyderco knives. This particular one has sharp dress scales, purple carbon fiber. It was the Cutlery Shop exclusive, which is in CTS XHP. Compression lock, fantastic action, stonewash blade. These scales really make the knife, which to me is a medium to larger size knife. You can see there in my hand, I get a very comfortable 4-finger grip. And like all Spydercos, I have that just naturally ergonomical choil. But out of the top 5, we won't call this number 5. We won't call it number 1. We will just call it one of the top 5 Spydercos in my collection is the Shaman, and this one's in CTS XHP. Moving on, we will look at the Spyderco Manix 2. Spyderco Manix 2 is a latecomer to my collection. It was one of the most recent Spydercos I acquired, and I really love this little knife. It's got rock scale designs, titanium scales on it, which what makes these a little bit unique is they allow you to do away with the liners that have the heavy jimping on them that the Manix 2 has as part of the frame. So you can remove those liners and you're left with a very smooth EDC knife that fits the hand fantastically. Again, it has that Spyderco just choil that's ergonomically laid out for your hand. And this knife, again, full size knife, fits my hand fantastically. Also allows me to choke up there. Has great action as I can't get it to slap down. Nice leaf shaped blade. And again, when it comes to top Spydercos, oh yeah, and while we're talking about that, the Shaman and the Manix 2, the first two we looked at, are USA made, Golden, Colorado, planet Earth. So that is the Shaman and the Manix 2. And from there we'll move to one that comes from Taichung, Taiwan, and that is the Spyderco Smog. This knife, guys, is unlike any Spyderco I've handled. It is a Smock design knife, and it is fidgety, has a deep hollow grind, very slicey, very neutral handle, and just a lot of fun with the button lock, which is really a reverse compression lock. That's kind of like a left-handed compression lock with the button that actually depresses that. See how it moves that compression lock over and then just allows it to drop. This knife does come standard with 2 detents, a primary detent and a secondary detent. I removed the secondary detent to remove the resistance from that blade so it would be more drop shutty. That's horizontal, guys, so that is very drop shutty. And the scales on this particular knife are Raylight scales, just raw titanium Raylight scales, and the blade is an S30V. Does have a Lynch deep carry clip, and this is one of the Taichung, Taiwan factory Spydercos. I think some of the nicest knives that Spyderco makes comes out of the Taichung factory. They do some really intricate work. This back spacer was added after I added the scales because they come with standoffs. But that is the third Spyderco in our collection, the only one that is not domestically produced, and that's the Spyderco Smog. From there, we go to the Pokey Stabby Spyderco Yojimbo 2. Yojimbo 2 is designed as a self-defense knife, as a fighting knife, but it is also a fantastic EDC knife with a very acute point. I call that a splinter digger if you need it to be. A very deep hollow grind, super slicey blade, compression lock, which you might see a theme to these locks with the exception of the Manix 2. I do like the compression lock. These scales are tie scales that came from Knife Plus. They're Knife Plus signature scales. And then this is the base Yojimbo 2 in S30V. And then I added a little titanium hardware. The blade is very substantial in terms of weight, so it drops shut with no problem. Medium size, maybe a little medium size grip. It's got a 4-finger comfortable grip, no real choil area there, but I don't need it. Again, this knife was designed primarily as a defense, as a, I guess you'd call it a martial arts tactical knife. I don't use it that way. I use it to slice up shit, and it does that very well. It will cut through cardboard, even though it has thicker blade stock with that hollow grind. It's just really, really slicey. And it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It does take up a little bit more room in pocket, but with the tie scales, it's really smooth in and out of pocket. And this one's actually got the MX Gear clip, not the Lynch clip. So finally, that brings us to number 5, and that's also a Golden, Colorado, USA Earth, and that is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I know. People are so tired of the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. It's been around forever. It's blah, 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 but I really like it. And I like it so much that I've picked it up in the 3 blade styles that it's available in. This is the Cutlery Shop CTS XHP Warncliffe that they released that had orange scales, G10. These are the rock scale designs, creature pattern scales, just in raw titanium, compression lock again, and just I have this particular Spyderco, I have the Tonto, and I have the S110V regular Paramilitary 2, and I carry these quite often. They're great EDC knives. They're very slicey. They're, in terms of urban tasks, in terms of cutting stuff down, cutting labels, they do just about everything that I'm called on to do with a knife, and they do it pretty well. So the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, to me, is not at all a boring knife. I kind of look at it as a canvas that you can do a lot of different things with. You can update it, you can change it out. I've got other scales for this and some of the other Spydercos, so if I ever get a hankering, I can go in and swap those out like most Spydercos. But guys, that is my top 5 Spydercos: Paramilitary 2, Yojimbo 2, the Smock, the Shaman, and the Manix 2. So guys, let me know in the comments if you think that you have different favorites, or if you think those are an okay top 5. It's always going to change as our knife habits do. And please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Y'all look out for each other. Love one another. I appreciate you all. Peace.